All right, guys, well, the two Skywing Falcons begin now. We did the unboxing video. During the unboxing video, we talked about a deadline. So this is gonna be a fun little story, a fun little challenge, and I'll share with you the timelines as we go through this assembly process. So it is Thursday evening at right there, what is it? Almost 10 p.m. that we're starting these projects. We've been working on this pair of Elite Aerosports Picaros here, so both the 2-meter Picaros, 1 and 2, and so those are almost done. There's been a lot of delays with them, just getting stuff done and just the normal things. And we are leaving for Turbines and Tumbleweeds early Monday morning. So essentially we really need to have these guys 100% done, ready to fly by Sunday noon, the latest, because we got to pack and get everything ready to go. So there's a lot to do. So this is going to be an interesting project. Now these Skywings are very much plug and play. Like you put your servos in, the wiring's done. These things are so complete, it's awesome. If you didn't see the unboxing video, check that out. I'll put a link down below to the playlist, and the unboxing video covers some of the details. But we're doing this assembly project a little bit different, and we're gonna start off with our fuel containment devices. So normally when we start a project like this, we would cover all the equipment that's going in there and everything, but my goal tonight is to at least have the tank system mocked up. I mean, installed would be amazing, but we're starting way later than I thought. So what we're doing on this aircraft as a first step, all of this stuff is coming out, and we need to figure out how our bags or fuel containment devices are gonna fit in here. That's the huge step that we need to get done first. So why do we need to get that done first? Well, we wanna get that stuff glued because we're gonna be painting the fuselages as well. So we wanna get the mounts all glued, ready to go. Then we pull everything out of the fuselage, paint the inside of the fuselage, put everything back in the wiring wise, and then start the installation. So just working with time crunches, if we don't get these tank systems installed until tomorrow, that's okay, because we can get those things glued in, curing, and then we can move on to the wings and the rear part of the fuselage. So there fortunately is lots of things that we can do in the meantime. So while we were at Jet Power, we picked up, I had a pre-ordered ready with Salim at Flight Composite Tech. So we picked up these 3.5 liter fuel containment devices or bladders. This is the one I really want to fit in this plane if possible. It's beautiful, the construction is amazing, the fittings are amazing, but while we were at Jet Power, kind of got to looking at these and was thinking, this looks a little bit wide. And it's a little bit wider than our normal fuel containment devices that we would use. So we bought a set of these guys as well too. Both are 3.5 liters. So ultimately we'll put in whatever fits. This is option number 1. This is option number 2. This one, I believe, will fit pretty much no problem, but of course we got to get all that structure out beforehand. So what we're going to start doing is just start pulling this stuff out, taking it out. I think it should be pretty simple to take this stuff out. Now, I did talk with Skywing directly and asked them simply if we were to take all of the fuel tank, smoke tank structure out, is that okay? And their answer was yes, no problems at all. So that was very encouraging because we don't have to go back and add reinforcements or anything where it's not needed. So let's start yanking this thing apart. All right, so far everything's been coming out quite nicely. The tank comes out nicely. So the stock tank is also 3.5 milliliters. So we basically have the exact fuel capacity. Now we could have gone with a 3 liter. The downside with the 3 liter, or I guess the not really a downside, the difference with the 3 liter is you don't gain any space this way with this standard bag. You gain some height this way, so the 3 liter is a little bit less tall. Now, just initially here, I'm going to stick this in there, just being careful of the fuselage pieces because this stuff is kind of sharp. Yeah, you know, I think we'll probably be okay. Now, turbine-wise, that's going to come to here. We do have to get one of the turbines and kind of place that in there and see how it's going to fit. But I think as long as we're kind of keeping to the no further back than the wing tube, I think we'll be okay. Now, looking at this, we do have some space side to side. I'm just wondering how much of this structure we actually need to remove, take out, what we need to do. So I think we're definitely going to have to remove this, which is just a flimsy piece anyways. I'm hoping that maybe we can keep and incorporate this side structure, but again, depends on which bag we want to or can use, so we'll have to see how that's going to work. All right, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this cross brace out. So we'll just take our reciprocating saw and just cut that out. And once that's out, that'll allow us a little bit of freedom to play around with this. All right, so this is the tool, works well. Cuts through that stuff like butter. That opens things up a little bit. So I find when I'm doing these new bag installations on projects like this, it's just take it slow and carefully. So we do have, I'll grab the canopy and we'll take a look at this and see what kind of spacing we've got here, but I like this so far. That is looking very promising. Now, even if we have to take all of the structure out there, I don't think that'll be a problem at all. Yeah, maybe on the base here, we'll keep that base structure, but we can cut out this side structure, and we may keep it still. I'm just thinking out loud here. If we do cut the side structure off, then we have to glue our mounts to the side of the fuselage, which is okay. And if we do keep this, we just need to figure out how we can incorporate that. So, all right, so as far as fuselage goes, you can see here that that tank area is perfection. So that smoke tank sat quite high up here, which is perfect because that is wide open in the canopy. So that is good, very promising. We've got lots of space above this fuselage, which is wonderful. All right, and a shot from the side here. We've got a good 3 inches with that fuel containment device sitting on the rails here. Now it's also contacting the wing tube right now, which I don't think would be a problem. It's quite smooth. Yeah, I think the next thing to do is we're gonna grab a turbine. We've got a 195 going in one of these, so we'll grab that turbine, kind of nestle it in there and see how our spacing here works out. All right, and while we're here, I really want to check out the Flight Composite Tech bladder and see if that will fit. And no, dang, that's too bad. This one's just a little bit too wide. Really no good way to make that fit. Dang, that's too bad. Really wanted to use this. The fittings on here are amazing. We'll find something to use that on. All right, so the Skywing 190 is definitely a tight fit, as I think any of the larger turbines will be, but it does fit quite nicely. Now, the depth of the turbine in the bell mouth is quite deep right now, so we're gonna have to slide that turbine forward. As far as lining up goes, it's close. Let's see if I can show you guys here reasonably. So the turbine, to my eyes, is sitting a little bit low, so it's going to need some washers to bring it up though. As far as rail levelness compared to the pipe, the tail cone has the same profile all the way around. That's what you're looking at. So when you look at that tail cone all the way around, you see the same profile on the actual tail cone, which is good. That means that it's level. We just need to bring the entire turbine up a little bit. So that's turbine number 1. Now, as far as positioning goes, just looking at this, I think we're gonna have to bring it probably all the way forward like that on those rails. A little hard to tell from this angle, but when we do that, we're about halfway in that bell mouth, which is going to be good. So as far as positioning goes for the fuel bladder, we still have a fair bit of space here between the starter motor and the back of the wing tube. So if we were just to, again, plan on having that bladder sitting sort of in that area, that's good, a good start. So we'll pull this engine out, we'll pull the Chikoi 195, pop that in and see how it fits. All right, so as far as dimensions on these engine goes, you can see it's overall just a different shape. So the Skywing has a longer tail cone, the Chikoi has a shorter tail cone. So the final dimension here, the Chikoi is like half an inch shorter in length. Diameter wise, I think very similar. So I'll pop this guy in and we'll see how it fits. All right, so the mounting ears of the turbine is a little bit narrower, which is nice. So this one in general doesn't sit down properly in the cutout on the engine rails. So this guy would have to be back a little bit. Dimensions in between the structure here for the engine is essentially almost the same as the Skywing, so not much different. So both of those guys will fit good. Now we can move away from the engines. The big point here was just to see how much space we're going to need between the back of the wing tube and the engine. So we have clearance, all that we need, so we'll put these engines away and get back to the bag. Now just for giggles here, I've got an extra Chikoi 132 engine that I pulled out of my Rebel Classic. Pop that in place, and with our original spacers that are screwed down, that brings the engine into perfect alignment in the fuselage. So lots of space here. So if you are putting one of these Falcons together and you don't want to do 3D or vectored nozzle stuff, that is definitely a really nice option to just having a great aerobatic flying aircraft. So that's not what we're going to do on this, but just wanted to show you guys what that looks like. So lots of room in there for that. All right, so I think I've got an initial plan here on what we're going to be doing. So we're going to run this fuel containment device fairly close to the top. And the reason we're going to run it close to the top is our mounts that we're going to glue in here, they can also tie into the top structure, this 45-degree angle, and the side structure. So we're going to make wooden tabs that contact all of those surface areas, which is going to be good. That'll give it some nice contact area. So our orange tape marks are our rod supports. So with a 3-liter fuel containment device, we're using an 8mm rod. So we're going to have the front ones located here. The fuel containment device is going to butt into those supports, and then our back ones are going to be skewed rearward a little bit, and that's going to allow one of our clamps to be able to go over top of the carbon rod and hold the fuel containment device or bag forward or in that fixed position. So yeah, so that's what we are doing for positioning. Now these guys are fairly close as far as the dimensions go, but basically we need to come up with a design that is almost a 90-degree angle with a 45. So it's going to be something sort of like this. This one's not a 90, it's a larger angle, but it's going to be something like this with a 45 chopped off the side there. So that's for this guy. And this one is going to be a little bit different because we don't have a 45-degree angle. It's a lot more steep. So it's going to be 2 different shapes for front and back. So now that we have our plan in place, I feel pretty confident with everything. The bags, when you deflate them or take the air or fluid out of it, they get wider. As they fill up, they expand and those rods pull in. So just something to be aware of when you're fitting these things. So fuselage wise, next thing we can do is we can cut all this structure out. So we're just going to cut what we can, and then we'll probably have to go in there with a Dremel or a sander and get rid of some of that stuff. Now what we're going to do on the bottom here is we're going to keep this bottom structure. That's not a bad thing, you know, resting this on its belly for transportation, holding the wires down, all that stuff, it's good. So we'll keep this lower section, we'll keep the forward backwards. We will chop this guy off because it doesn't need to support the tank anymore. And then over on this side, we're just going to come kind of straight across like that. And that'll keep all this structure in place. Friday morning at 7:15 a.m. The sun's just coming up outside. Deadline is fast approaching and we got to get moving on these Falcons. So the day is going to be interesting. I got some sleep last night. I know you probably don't care about that, but first time since coming back from Jet Power, which we got back Monday, that I've actually gotten more than 4 hours of sleep. So I feel much better today. It's amazing. So we're going to continue on with the fuel containment device installation. So next thing I'm going to do on this first guy is get everything cut out like we talked about in the previous clip. So just going to use my Milwaukee for the rough cuts, kind of avoiding the fuselage, and then we'll come in with a Dremel afterwards and do our sanding and shaping of all the former work. So let's get that rocking and rolling. All right, so the basic structure comes out quite easily, as you can see in the previous clip. So we have to do a bunch of shaping here, still have to do the other side, but that's good. Now I was thinking initially to sand all this stuff out, but if we just smooth this down, I think that's gonna give us enough room in there to not have any issues at all. The other thing I like about keeping this structure here is it's got some nice glue joints. It's gonna add a little bit of rigidity to the fuselage too, so probably not a terrible thing just to leave this side structure, just like we're doing on the bottom, right? That's still gonna add a little bit of rigidity to have that piece of ply glued in there. So not a bad thing, but we can do some nice shaping for sure. So I'll grab the tank and we'll see how that fits. And I call it a tank, it's definitely not a tank, a fuel containment device. I think that's gonna be okay. We'll see. Start sanding away and we'll see how things go with that. But yeah, we've got options, basically, put it that way. All right, and I feel like we got lucky here, guys. This is outstanding. So there's an overview shot. The fuel containment device is sitting in the aircraft. Now there's this cross member piece right there that's glued in very well to the entire side structure and top structure of the airframe. So I took my reamer tool, this guy here, you guys are familiar with that. And these holes are kind of oval shaped, so I rounded those holes out. This is an 8mm rod that we're using, so it's just, the rod's just fitting in there now. And I think we are going to be outstanding. We have to add some reinforcement to this area, to these holes, because we don't want to be relying just on that, but that is awesome. Very well positioned. The other thing keeping this bag up nice and high is we've got plenty of clearance down below. Now it would be nice to sink this into the fuselage, but the downside is then we've got a wing tube to deal with, which is sitting right here. We've got the intakes to deal with, which kind of come back like this. So there's really, unless you go with a really small cube style bag, there's no way to drop it all the way down. So, which is fine. I'm very happy with the way this is working out. So, and then the other thing is we take these guys, spread them out close to the side of the fuselage. So if we take these carbon rods, spread them out, kind of as close as we can get to that fuselage, it adds some nice tension to the fuel containment device. And we're sitting in a really good spot right now. So right now, the wing tube is here. So we've got a little bit of the fuel containment device hanging over the back, which is totally fine. We can also move that further forward. We've got some good adjustments. So I think, guys, that is our position. I like it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make some side pieces, not like this, but some side pieces that fit this profile, that tuck up to the side, that are really nicely shaped. That's going to hold these rods in place. So we'll use some cardboard to make a template, and we'll kind of go from there and see how things are going to work out. And then we have to make a reinforcement piece for the front, which is essentially just going to be kind of like a piece of a plywood glued on there, and then we'll drill through the plywood and make our hole. So I'm happy. This is turning out very nicely. All right, so I took one of our mounts that we, this is the mount for the Carve Rebel Classic, and these were cut out on our CNC machine. And I took one of these guys and shaped it and modified it, and it turned out really well. So basically what I did, this is all the stock area like that. And you can see the changes that I made to the mount. So the goal with this was to get it tucked in to the side of the fuselage, sort of as much as possible. Our little keeper things here, our clamps for the tube, they still have room between the side of the fuselage and the structure and everything. So that works out good. And we want to try and get those tubes as close to the side as possible, which this has done. So as far as fit goes, there's a shot of it tucked in place. We've got some nice space for glue and high sol and aero epoxy, which is wonderful. Just confirm that it fits on the other side. Yes, very nicely. So that works out very good. I'm very happy with that. And yeah, now we'll just sort out the front mounts, which I think is just going to be a little bit of an extra support in this area here. Basically, I just want to make sure that the plywood has enough structure to hold the front portion of the fuel containment device. So we don't have a lot of room there, so we will have to be a little bit creative, but yeah, so let's come up with the area for that. All right, so we got our mounts both made up, and they are just sitting on the tubes. And if we take those guys and tuck them in, oh yeah, perfect. So we got some nice, not tension on the bag, but nice support on the bag. So that's wonderful. The nice thing about having so much room below and above actually is that we've got some freedom here as far as where we can position it. So we can kind of tuck it back a little bit to get the CG back a little bit. But yeah, I'm really, really tickled with that position. That is fantastic how that's working out. So that's good. All right, so we're cutting out some more tank mounts that we can modify. So we're using our Makera Carvera Air, and that's working awesome. So we've got those all queued up. And what I ended up doing here was taking our half circle ones, modifying them a little bit, and they are gonna fit perfectly in there. So that's gonna work out very well too. So what it really needs is the support on the underside and to be able to glue to the structure. So that's what we're gonna end up doing for the front portion there. So happy with this. So we're going to wait for those guys to get cut out. We're gonna pull fuselage number 2 over here to that workbench, and we will start modifying the same stuff on fuse number 2. And for time reference, it is 10:20 a.m. working away. Was working on the Carvera for a fair bit already today. So this is fuselage number 2. So number 1's there, number 2's here. Just cutting out another set of bag mounts. So we've got all the structure removed in this one as well too. So that's all good. So we're flipping back to number 1. And we want to get our tabs and stuff sorted out here. So what we're going to do is do a little bit of sanding in this area. You want to get rid of the shininess when you're gluing stuff in like this. So that's the reason sort of for the tape marks at this point. So we'll do a little bit of roughening up, and then we're going to get these guys installed. So really what we're going to do is we'll put a little bit of aero epoxy like here, stick that in place. With a little bit of CA in the corner. That's just to kind of get it held in place. And then once that CA cures, we'll use kicker. Then we can come back in and we'll tool some epoxy around the edges as well too. So, but the CA is kind of one of those important things to get in place so you can actually work with this and get it stuck and don't have to try and clamp it. All right, so number 1 here is done. Well, done. We've got the mounts tacked in place, so that is that's wonderful. That's going to work very well. I'm happy with that. So we've got our reinforcements in the front. That's good. So when we do this type of setup, really what we can do is we don't really need to put a clamp on this side. We can, but there's not a lot of room on this side. So what we'll probably end up doing is we'll put a set of clamps on the front of the fuel containment device. So the clamps are these guys right here. So that'll be over top of the 8mm rod at the front. And then we'll have one at the back, and then we'll have a pair of clamps on this mount here. So one on the back, one on the front, and that prevents that carbon rod from sliding just because we don't have any room in the front. So that is awesome. I'm very happy with that. That's wonderful. That's going to be a great setup. So what we're doing is the same thing to number 2. So we've just spot glued these in place with a little bit of thick CA. Once we've got both at the same setup, we're going to take the fuel containment device out, and we're going to come in here and tool everything with high sol. All right, so number 2, the fuel containment device is installed. Now we have made a bit of a running change. I know we talked about painting the inside of these fuselages, and because everything is so covered, we're also obviously concerned about weight. We want to keep this as light as possible. We are just going to leave the inside unpainted, which is great. So we're building these as a pair, so we're doing the same thing on both of them. So fuel containment devices are installed. Now what we want to do is we want to take these rods out, and we want to tool high sol around the perimeter of them to get them all glued in place, and we need to set those aside and let them cure. So let's take these bags out now and get to our high sol step. All right, so we're pretty tight in here, but I think we'll be able just to slide those forward like that. Yeah, and then out. That's one of the really nice things about these fuel bags that I've really enjoyed, is the ease of getting them installed and taken out. And then generally, if you're putting them in and getting them installed, doing it with the bag empty is always a lot easier. So, all right, so we've mixed up some high sol, and of course we've used trusty bent screwdriver because there is no better tool for doing everything on your plane. And it is time to high sol these guys in place. So basically what we're doing with this is I put CA on the top and the side. I left the angle, the 45-degree angle, not high soled. So the benefit of doing that is we're going to have also some good contact area with high sol in that 45. So when I do this, I'm just making sure that I push it into that gap on the 45 area, and then we're leaving a nice fillet against the rest of it. Nice. So I think, and I'm again, we're just learning here at the shop, but I think, you know, 3.5 smaller, using mounts like this is good. In the F100, when we did that plane, we used quite a bit more significant mounts, used some fiberglass reinforcement, things like that. And I think that's kind of the line that we're going to draw is, you know, 3.5 liters. We can use mounts like this as long as we've got good mounting structure. Anything bigger, we're going to make sure that we go over and above like we did on the F100. Now this is, when you think about it, it is a fair bit of weight. You know, like the F100 had a 5-liter bladder in there. That's a lot of weight floating around. You know, Caro or Jet A is 1.8 pounds per liter. And, you know, even 4 liters, you're about 7 pounds floating around. So it does add up fairly quickly. But that is what we're looking for. That looks good. So there's a shot of the glue joints. So we're pretty much repeating the same thing on the other side. On the front ones here, we're just going to be putting high sol around both sides. You know, we've got decent access from both sides, which, you know, is pretty straightforward. So we'll get all these guys glued up and we'll come back and take a final thought at this. So the goal with this aircraft when we were at Jet Power was to install the Flight Composite Tech tanks. And unfortunately, they're just a little bit too wide for this fuselage. So I'm a little disappointed because the quality of those Flight Composite Tech fuel containment devices or bladders are next level amazing. So we did pick up two 3.5s once we kind of were playing around with it, noticing it at jet power. So that's why we picked up the 3.5 liter bags. Now these ones are only maybe an inch narrower, but it's just enough in this fuselage because the fuselage is quite narrow in this plane. So unfortunately we've got to use these ones, but fortunately we've got options, right? So, you know, we've used this one as well too. So these are, if you're overseas, not in North America, they're made by RCFM. And our North American distributor for these bladders is Jordan Factor. So I'll put a link down below to both Flight Composite Tech, to Salim, and also to Jordan Factor. And I'll cover the materials we're using to install this. So the mounts, they're of course custom made, but the actual rods here, they are 420 millimeters long. Now I think we'll probably cut a little bit off, but I don't think we need to. So they're 420 millimeters, 420 millimeters by 8 millimeter diameter. Once you go to the larger size bladders, you'll need to use a 10 millimeter rod. So keep that in mind. So that's what we're using for this aircraft. So that's a great head start, a great first step on these Falcons. I just wanted to be as clear and concise about the bladder installation as a first step. Next video, we are going to start off with the equipment that we're putting in these aircraft. We'll cover that. The layout is identical except for the engines. So it's a standard jetty setup, but we'll get more into that in video number 2 of the assembly series. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this sort of in-depth guide or dive into putting a bladder into these aircraft. And that's it. Thank you, channel members, for being members of the channel. If you are watching this and you're wondering what channel membership is, there's some links down below to channel membership and what it is. It's a paid thing, but our channel members get early access to videos. So as an example, the unboxing of these aircraft was uploaded a few days before they went live. This video is going to be uploaded a few days before it goes live to everybody on YouTube. So that's what channel membership is. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Very excited to see everybody at Turbines and Tumbleweeds in Sweetwater, Texas, October 2nd to October 5th, 2025. See you there.